Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Debbie HOrovitch. I'm so glad that you're here, that you're able to watch this evening. Tonight is the premiere episode of the new show that I'm launching, Hangout HelpDesk. And I'm so happy that you're here, that you could join me and participate. This is a really exciting time. I've realized that I haven't had the opportunity to do a regular Hangout on Air show for quite some time. Most of this year, in fact, I've been working on special events and client Hangouts. And the regular Hangouts that I had that were really helpful, not only to me, but to the people that I was working with who were joining on the Hangouts, they dropped by the wayside for a little bit this year while I was working on understanding and learning about funnels. Really, and what's really exciting for me right now is that tomorrow, actually, I'm submitting the final draft of my full business plan for Social Sparkle and Shine, which is something that I've been working on for 2 months after a couple of years of working on the business Celebrity Hangouts on Air as a part of Social Sparkle and Shine. I was working on it since spring 2011. I've been doing the Hangouts, has been my focus since early 2013, when I just launched my first Hangout show in the fall of 2012. So within a few months, it was very obvious to me that the best value I was getting out of all my social media activities, and I was a full-time social media community manager, the best value that I was getting out of everything that I was doing, which was a lot. People would say that they could see me on social channels all over the place. And I was online and connected 24/7, 365. And I stayed that way for most of 2013 while I was working through understanding my program, understanding Celebrity Hangouts on Air, and what I could contribute to people and to the community, not only of Google+, but just of general business owners and of marketers who are trying to understand the better ways and the better tools that are available in order to index your business on Google, so that you're receiving that organic traffic and getting search results and achieving business bottom line. The important thing about achieving business bottom line, of course, is that you don't want to do anything, whether it's for time or an investment of money in your business, for your business, that doesn't actually produce a positive return on investment, that you've invested less in hour time than you got back in revenue, or that you invested less in a professional producer than you got back in revenue. And so, as I was saying, I'm really happy to be here tonight to be able to launch Hangouts HelpDesk, so that whatever it is you're working on, wherever your Hangout is, the truth of the matter is we're all learning all the time. The platform changes. And even myself, of course, I'm not the best person, as you can clearly have the highest technology. And I'm not a hardware geek either. I just like to use social tools that work really well out of the box and with no extra investment and with no extra requirements, really, like no extra hardware or utilities or connections, and not a lot of extra investment. I mean, I don't spend an awful lot on Hangout on Air shows because I have access to the expert myself. But the most important thing, and I discovered this a few years ago when I was working full-time in social media, and a lot of people at the time, it was, there was so much craziness about Facebook a couple of years ago, around 2011, 2012, right around the time that they hit 1 billion, which I think was late 2012. Around 2011, I think it was, I had a lot of people who were telling me that, in their opinion, Mark Zuckerberg, CEO and founder of Facebook, was an expert on all things social media. And I beg to differ just a little bit. I do believe that certainly Mark Zuckerberg is an expert in many, many things, and he is absolutely an expert in Facebook. But for a very long time, he didn't have a Twitter account. He wasn't active on many of the other social channels other than his own. And so all he knew was Facebook. So I wouldn't say that Mark Zuckerberg is an expert in social media, because if you went to him looking for help with Twitter, or looking for help with Google+, or looking for help with LinkedIn, or any other relevant social media channel that you may have business objectives to achieve on, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the most successful CEOs and tech startup entrepreneurs ever to exist on the face of the earth, would not be able to help you with that. And so what I really like about Hangout HelpDesk and about being able to do this show is that it gives me the opportunity to treat my shows and my agency and my projects, as I always have, like crash test dummies for my clients. Many of my clients, and over the years, the employers that I've had, I'm a very testy kind of person. Not testy, but I like to test things. And I like to figure out how to do it. And if I think, well, maybe the solution isn't something technical, maybe the solution is something esoteric. Maybe I need to change the way that I'm thinking about something in order to change the results of the Hangout. And that is a very different way of approaching social media. It's a very different way of approaching media in general. For most people, they go with, tech, with the answers, with the questions, with the information. And what I really like to look at is the insights. And so what we'll be having over the coming months, I have already scheduled and booked the Google Plus Hangouts HelpDesk through the middle of March 2015. And one of the big things about this show is that I will be marketing this show into syndication and simulcast. Simulcast being simultaneously broadcasting of the episodes. So they will be live broadcast to many larger audiences. And that's something that I'll be working on over time. So we'll be growing the audience network where we're being live simulcast and live broadcast for every recording. And then additionally, the syndication will come from people who pick up the Hangouts and elements of the Hangouts that we create afterwards and include them in their content, because there's a lot of content managers, there's a lot of bloggers that are looking for videos, they're looking for content even to participate in. And when you pre-schedule your Hangout on air on Google+, all sorts of magical things start to happen. People start to find it just generally and sign up for your show as well. Something happens, something different happens in the universe. It's like you're making a commitment. You know how sometimes there's these funny stories about women who really, the means to the end is the ultimate for them. They really want to get married. And crap, I'm losing it. Losing my train of thought. And that's the problem with not having a co-host or someone else. What I was going to get to is the episodes that we have upcoming, because tonight is the launch episode. It's just me here. And we will have, hopefully, I have a few people scheduled to come in and join me for the help desk, where they will be asking me their questions or posing their problems or their challenges with their Hangout on air. And I'll give them the best advice that I can. I don't know that it will be the best advice or the only advice. What I'm really hoping is that anyone else who sees this video, who sees the questions and the challenges that are being faced, first of all, if you recognize that challenge within yourself, I hope that you'll get some value from considering and thinking about what the response is. And secondly, I hope that if you have a response yourself, if you're thinking, oh my God, Debbie is saying so exactly the opposite of what I would say, here's what I would say, I want you to please reach out to that person and give them the advice. They're looking for help. And if you have it, the best thing that you can do is pay it forward. I don't know if you are a fan of The Walking Dead, but there was a really good quote in the show last week, and I'll get to it at the end of the show. So we're going to go for about 45 minutes in total for each episode. I know that they're scheduled for an hour. I couldn't really find how to schedule a show for 45 minutes, but that's the length of the show, is 45 minutes, 10-minute introduction, 3 10-minute assessments or help desk hangouts, which, tonight might be a different format and the conversation might be different because I did not line up ahead of time 3 people with very specific challenges or questions or comments. I have a few friends who have said that they're going to join me and that they're excited to get into this. So hopefully they will be here and I'll check. And then at the end, we're going to just do a quick sort of a 5-minute, it's almost like a hangout meditation. For each episode, as I mentioned, we're going to have a different person. I'm going to take the role of producer for future episodes and hopefully not even be on camera at all. Hopefully I'll be able to get onto my Hangout without any hair or clothing or makeup worries and just be there to help make the guest capable, to support them in being able to focus on helping the person who's asked the question or looking for an assessment. So that's really what I'm hoping to do. I am hoping to get connected with and get to know so many of the Hangout producers and people who are working on Hangouts. So I'm really happy that you're here. I'm going to just pop over to the event page really quickly and see if anyone was over there to ask any questions. Okay, one of my friends on Facebook just said that she's going to be over in just a few minutes. And I did, I put the link, did I put the link? It's so funny. I thought I copied the link, but I guess I didn't. So let me put the link there. Normally I wouldn't do this, and I would normally advise people against doing this. What you're going to see me do right now is I'm putting the link to join this Hangout right into the event page, to the RSVP event page. And since I haven't, normally what I would do is confirm ahead of time who will be the helpees, the people who are asking the questions. Normally I will. And normally not only will I have, of the people who are going to be the helpees and asking their questions pre-confirmed so that you can take the time to do your hair and do your makeup and be comfortable on camera. And ask your question yourself and ask follow-up questions yourself if we have time within the 10 minutes. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to hear what are the questions from the guests. And what's beautiful about the show, about the fact that I've actually scheduled it out already for 6 months, is that you, as I mentioned at the top of the show, you actually have the opportunity to live simulcast and to participate as a producer in this show in a different way. You don't necessarily have to be on camera. You don't necessarily have to share the links all over the place. What I'm asking is that you consider if this is valuable content for your audience, either on your website or somewhere else that you blog or somewhere else where you are a subject matter expert. Would Hangout HelpDesk be of help, be of assistance, be of value to that audience? And if it is, then I encourage you to check out on celebrityhangoutsonair.com. I've just posted, I didn't have the time to get the whole thing going through, but I've just posted all of the series of shows with the Google Plus event page, the YouTube event page or YouTube video page, and the Google Plus Hangouts on Air embed code, so that you can embed the video into any content that you could create a whole opt-in lead generation funnel. You could say that your agency, whether you're a social media agency or Google Plus Hangouts on Air agency or just a marketing agency or even a coach, you could say that you're now going to start live simulcasting Hangout HelpDesk twice a month, and offer for your audience to opt into your list to participate and engage with you about what they see on Hangout HelpDesk. As well, the more people that you have joining in and engaging and participating in the show, certainly if you let me know, I'll make sure to bring you on the show, and that way, not only will you have, you know, Hangout HelpDesk, this show playing on your blog on a regular regular occurrence, but you'll also have the show featuring you, and you could even create a blog post that is all of the Hangouts that you've been a featured guest on. So I've got lots of ideas. I've got a ton of ideas, but really this show is more about, this episode is about my ideas, but the show is about the community and what people are working on and how we can help each other. And really how we can help each other grow. I know that I do have some unique things that I bring to the table. And I apologize where it's not my area of expertise, which is an inch deep. The truth of the matter is, I don't know a lot. I don't spend a ton of time on Google+. I spend the majority of my time just on Hangouts and on social media and online in general. Understanding the way that media works, because I have that 20-year background. So I am looking for my Hangout HelpDesk helpees. They might not join tonight, and that's possible. It happens that, especially on a show like tonight, where I really haven't done a ton of promotion over the show, in fact, very, very little. You know, it happens that there are not very many live viewers. I do have live viewers. I'm not suggesting that there are none. And even my first helpee, Vicky, is just arriving now. And I think the timing is perfect for Vicky to come in. Maybe if she's ready, she can join us on the camera. Hello, Vicky. Are you there? Oh, maybe. She's getting warmed. Sometimes when you join the Hangouts, it takes a minute for you to join. Let's see if, Vicky, are you muted?
I think I'm coming on. Can you hear me?
Yep, now you're coming in.
Hey, just a second.
I was talking to you for about 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it took forever for it to connect. Hey, I'm here.
I'm so glad that you're here. It's good to see you. It's interesting to note, just looking at the Hangout production screen, how things are changing, even from the last time I did a Hangout, which was not that long ago. I think probably it was late October. A fairly long time for many people, but still, you know, things are changing. Like I've noticed, and I was talking to Dennis Duce yesterday, and he was saying that they changed where they put the lower third, so that now if you have the lower third turned on, your screen is wider and you're more squished. Like it doesn't actually squish your image, but you just have a wider screen. So I have less vertical face space. And Vicky, your screen is totally square. When you talk, it switches back, and then the thumbnails are covering over your picture. Let's take now that you have your lower third on, so you're up now.
So is my lower third on?
Yes, your lower third on, and let me get.
It doesn't show in the toolbar at the bottom. I've noticed.
Interesting. So you're not seeing your lower third at all?
I'm seeing it when I see myself on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I am not seeing it in the toolbar down below. And I just had a Hangout an hour ago, and we noticed the same thing. So I don't know if that's something new. I haven't done a Hangout live, you know, in public since probably last year, since probably November of last year. So it's been a while. So
yeah, right around the time when I was starting the Celebrity Hangouts on Air training.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, it's great to have you back. You know what? Things happen and life happens, and we take breaks from various stuff. and you come back to it. I think I learned the best lesson from yoga, which was hot Buddha, cold Buddha, it's still Buddha. Doesn't matter if you're into your yoga practice or you're not into your yoga practice, you're still Buddha. You're still practicing yoga. The yoga is still there for you, even if you're not practicing it. And I don't know, I kind of feel the same way about Hangouts. Like, the really good relationships that I've created have stuck around, like you know, and some other friends. It's astounding to me, the value of the relationships that we've created.
Yes. Yeah, while I haven't done any public Hangouts in that amount of time, I've done several private Hangouts. And yes, just, I tell people it's the next best thing to being there.
It is. It's the next best thing to being there, but at the same time, just being honest, every time you do a Hangout, do you have the thought, I do you have the thought, oh, Hangouts.
Yeah, it kind of freaks me out getting ready for them, especially tonight. I couldn't find any of my old notes, so I was creating an event, and it was like, oh my God, I hope that it's still the same steps as last time, because I'm doing this from memory, and it was. It actually was. It turned out okay. We actually had interaction with people that were watching us. We had viewers. It was awesome.
Great. And you just finished, right?
What's that?
You just finished.
Yeah, we just finished, and we just planned it like 3 hours ago. So, it's really cool what you can do, what you can create, what can happen, and then now we have an evergreen video on the subject we were talking about that we can refer people to, because granted, not everybody was on Facebook in the last 2 hours when we promoted, oh hey, we're gonna go live.
Yeah, well, of course, and that I think a lot of people are really starting to realize the value in creating videos that are intended to be watched after the live audience. You can only get so many people to watch you live. You can rearrange their schedule for a video that they know will be available later. And if they don't intend to be live on the video with you, then why do they have to reschedule their day to watch your content? You don't want to have to make them reschedule their day to watch your content.
Exactly, and a lot of times the number one frequently asked question, when somebody promotes a live webinar, the number one frequently asked question is there going to be a replay?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Once you get used to Hangouts, that live replay or that live link to watch live is also the replay link.
Which I think in some cases can make it challenging, because I have heard that there is sort of audience complacency when audiences are told that there will be a replay, or they know that there will be a replay, or they assume there will be a replay, as we do with many Hangouts. Much less engagement watching the video. People take fewer notes, they ask fewer questions, because they presume that they will come, even if it's interesting and engaging and valuable content, they still aren't as engaged because they presume that the replay will be there for them, when in reality, most of us will never watch a Hangout twice.
Yeah,
most of us will never watch a Hangout once. Of most of the Hangouts that happen, I watch very few Hangouts. I don't have a lot of time to watch a ton of Hangouts, right?
I have actually watched a couple more than once.
Oh, really? Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about what would inspire you, or what would motivate you, or what would make a Hangout video so valuable that you would turn back to it more than once?
Well, I guess a lot of times when I'm listening to them the first time through, I'm usually multitasking, and I'm doing other things. And so occasionally, an idea will come out, and it's like, oh, I want to hear that more. So the thing that's good with a replay is you can just go back and rewind, a few seconds, and watch that one particular spot. But occasionally, I'll have that information going on in the background, and I'll catch myself doing that, like more than 5 times. So if I do that more than 5 times, that's a clue to me that maybe I should watch that again and concentrate on it more fully and be more fully focused and aware with what's going on. So.
Or give up on it.
Yeah, or sometimes you're listening to them and you're like, why am I even wasting my time? And then you go on to something else.
I have a to-do list, and some things just never get done. And I think that that's the prioritization of the universe.
Oh, I agree.
Things that never get done on my to-do list. It's on my list. It should get done. But if I never get around to it, then it was not that important. Did you want some advice, or do you want to just have did you for the help desk tonight?
Mm-hmm.
My intention was to have 2 to 3 10-minute help sessions.
Okay.
Where for tonight, and this will change every episode, but for tonight, I'm the expert Hangout person manning the Hangout desk or the help desk.
Okay.
So if you were to sit down in front of me at my help desk, what would your question, challenge, problem, anything? What's on your mind? What's the biggest challenge? Anything that you have?
Well, for me, it's, just due to life circumstances that has happened, over the last year and a half or so. I was really focused and intent on doing Hangouts for, a good year, close to a good year, and then all of a sudden I had no experience with Hangouts for it's probably been 10 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So I have not kept up with all the changes. It's since I just started a Hangout an hour ago and I was able to do it and do it successfully. I see that things are pretty much the same as they've been, but
what has changed? But it's still the same.
Yeah. So maybe just a quick update. If the last that I was aware of changes was like December of 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So has there what changes have occurred? I know when I logged on tonight, there was I got this screen about new apps that are out there, and
I haven't looked at any of the new apps. I think that I suspect that there aren't actually any new apps or any new apps worth using for business Hangouts. My suspicion is that that's just Google's attempt to put forward the apps and to engage their users more in using third-party apps. The same way that they launched, there were a couple of new apps, Slideshow and Applause and the Q&A app that they launched, that they launched with the default of them being on when you schedule your Hangout on air, and then you have to turn it off. For a long time as a producer, anytime you made an edit to your event, it would turn those apps back on, and you have to make sure that they're in the right on or off position before you start the broadcast of your Hangout.
Good to know.
Because you can't change it once you're in the Hangout. Once you press that start button on the event page and you open up your production window, you can't make any changes. If your Q&A isn't on, you can't turn it on. If your applause is on and your showcase is on, you can't turn it off. And I recommend that you observe or ask people or talk to people how they feel about using these various apps, especially Q&A app, and because people have really strong opinions, and they may or may not be their opinions, and those people may or may not be within your target group. So it's something to consider about the user experience, the viewer experience with those apps. I would recommend you try and listen for the complainers about those apps, and then go find a Hangout that has at least the Q&A app used, and see if you can understand why it creates that frustration for them. I've had lots of talks with people about the Q&A app in particular. And I've come to the decision for myself that I generally prefer to use it. In my situation, I'm usually hosting and producing alone, and the Q&A app allows me to bring the questions straight into the production screen so that I don't have to go back to any other Chrome screens or any other screens. To me, I don't like seeing people who are not looking at the screen. I don't like seeing people talking in a Hangout and I can see their eyes looking at a different computer.
Right.
You know, like, what are you doing? Looking at your Facebook, chatting with your friends, finishing work? Like, if you're a guest on the show and you're going to engage with the viewing audience, you have to be looking at the camera. And that doesn't, you know, like, I know it's hard. Let me see what my, how do I look? Do I look like I'm looking at the camera? Yeah, it's sort of not really. You can't really see. I've got bad lighting here, so you can't really see in my eyes. But I try to make a point. I mean, sometimes you'll see me with my head down because I take pen and paper notes. But I really, really try to stay away from being distracted by Twitter, which I know that very often Hangouts will have live tweeting. So I try and get someone else to do that. And so you really have to consider for each Hangout that you're doing, who are the human resources that you have available to help you manage, and which is the app that fits with that situation. Because it could be just that you have, you could have someone manage the app for you during the live Hangout, and that be their job or their volunteer role. Right.
I know the live Q&A app was just coming out when I kind of got out of it for a while.
Yes. And it took
problems.
Oh my God! I didn't use the Q&A app for months when it first came out, and then I tried to use it for months and could not, for the life of me, figure it out. I was like, I had this brain block. It was like just a stupid brick inside of my brain of concrete not functioning around the Q&A app. And then one day we kept on trying it, and like, maybe we'll figure it out this time. You know, sort of like when you're trying to figure out how to do Sudoku puzzles.
Yeah.
Or logic puzzles. For the first time, for the first like year, I hated them because I couldn't do them. I couldn't figure it out. Now it puts my brain at ease to play with those sorts of numbers.
That's good to know. You're probably the one I watched, and I'm afraid to do that. I'm afraid to use it now.
But it was one of those things where we suddenly got it. It was not. It was my brain was interpreting what I was seeing and understanding it wrong. And so I couldn't figure out how to use the app right. And once I started to understand that, then I was like, oh, okay, now I get what the options are. But I think the point that I would make to you about, you know, given that you have some concerns over the lack of activity that you've had in 2014, I think that the biggest update that I can give you and make you aware of is really about the event page for Hangouts on Air. So it used to be, up until December 2013, used to be that you would do all of the pre-planning for your Hangout with your friends on email and on Facebook and on Google Docs and all over the place. And you could set up an event on, I don't know, there was something, you could set up an event. You couldn't schedule the Hangout. You could not get, you couldn't get the embed code for the Hangout until you actually started the Hangout.
Right.
Right? And now that they've created that integrated Hangout event RSVP page, when you go in and schedule a Hangout on Air for the future, it creates your event page and embed code. So that opens up the doors to the possibilities for your Hangouts of celebrity and influencer guests, which their schedules are extremely busy. And if you want to have them on your show because your content is relevant to them and to what they're doing, in order to get them on your show for no charge because it's relevant to them, you still will have to work within their schedule because they are working professionals, and they'll get paid $50,000 to go somewhere on a day, and they're certainly not going to reschedule a $50,000 day for your Hangout. Right? So working within their schedules months in advance. So setting your Hangout months in advance is a critical step to take. It's almost like a commitment of the law of attraction within the universe, right? Because you can change everything about that end date. You can edit, and you can change the title, you can change the header image, you can change the date, you can change the time, you can change the guests.
But you get a link to promote in advance, right?
But you cannot change the link. The link stays the same from the day that you schedule it. And you can reschedule it for years in advance. Like you could even, and I did this, I realized this yesterday, I missed a Hangout that I had scheduled. I think I did. And I had to reschedule it again. So it was a past Hangout that I had forgotten about and didn't even log in because I was so busy working on the last of my business plan. And I realized, oh wait, I was supposed to do a Hangout yesterday and I totally forgot, so I had to reschedule it again for the future. Right? But the same embed code, it doesn't matter if I've had it embedded in 5 other big media websites, that embed code is the same. Okay,
that feature was just happening when I left the area, and I have been initiating Hangouts from the YouTube side.
Yep.
I've been initiating private Hangouts and using. Yeah. I haven't used the event feature until tonight, and it did kind of confuse me because I had already created the event, and then I went to start the Hangout.
Yeah, and it created a second event.
Yeah, so I get all the way through to the end, and it looks like, oh crap, that's going to create a new event. That's not what I want. So I ended up, since I already had the event created, I ended up going into YouTube and beginning the public Hangout on YouTube, and then I just copied the YouTube link over to the event page, and everything works smoothly. So it still works the old way, but it's good to know that there's a way to make it easier.
Still works the old way, and I've even heard rumor, just to complicate things, that using the old event page to schedule your Hangout on air and then embedding the link to the Hangout into it in the same way that we used to.
Okay.
Is better for SEO. I haven't been able to confirm that. I've only just heard it as rumors on Google+, and I was sort of looking for, can I track back to a source that is reliable that can confirm it's actually better for your search results to do it in that way. I haven't found that confirmation, but what I know is that for me, I find it simple. If you show in Google+, and under the Hangouts tab, start at, it says start it now or start it later, and you just start it later. And even if you make a mistake, which I did as I was booking HelpDesk through March earlier this afternoon, I had one that I actually accidentally started as an event, or I started it in the wrong way, and then I went and created it the correct way.
Oh, it does let you edit it and change it after the fact?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. You can edit everything and change everything. You can change the name, you can change the title, you can change the guests, you can change the date, you can change the privacy settings, you can change anything you want.
Okay.
The embed code, the G+ event page, and the YouTube page will stay the same. There's a risk involved in that, though, because on occasion, some of us experience a little bit of technical glitchiness with Google+. And what happens, have you ever had it happen? And I've only had this happen a few times. It's extremely unnerving when it does, especially for a pre-planned hangout that you've got embedded in different places. Have you ever started a hangout, started the production window, and it didn't have a start broadcast button?
No, that has not happened to me.
I had that happen. I was like, I don't know what to do. What
did you do?
The only thing I could do was at the very last minute start a brand new fresh hangout and give the link to watch the hangout to the people at the page. But people were even over there, you know, not complaining, but they were saying, how come your hangout hasn't started yet? And I'm like, because there was no start button. I had to, like, at the last second, I was like, I had to rush and start a second hangout. And, you know, I don't believe that I had that hangout embedded in a lot of places, but that was my big concern with Forbes. Anyone who's watching, if you don't know, I did a hangout on air in Forbes.com at the end of September, and it was a hangout on air that was embedded into an article that I wrote for Forbes that was published 5 weeks before the hangout was recorded. So the video screen, the box, the video player was in the article in Forbes, actually driving people to click and to RSVP for the event for 5 whole weeks, anyone who read the article. And then on the day of the live broadcast, anyone who was reading it had the opportunity to watch us live and to interact. And anyone who watches the article afterwards, now they have the whole article, and then right there they've got a video with, you know, some peer-like business people discussing the content of the article. Mm-hmm. My biggest fear nearly came true. I had all sorts of other technical problems with that hangout. But the one that did not happen was I didn't have any problems with that one hangout. It was only embedded in Forbes and in my website. I didn't have really the time or the opportunity or even the mindset of thinking, like, how do I get this Forbes hangout into other media channels? I can't really see how other media channels would want a Forbes hangout. And
you already have Forbes.
Well, exactly. So I was like, yeah, no, just leave it alone, Debbie. But the thing is that there was no one at Forbes. There was no blog manager. The Dory Clark, who is the owner of that blog column, and who posted it for me, she wasn't, you know, joining us live. So my big fear was, what happens if I go live? I'm downtown. We have, by the day of the live hangout, we had 265 yes RSVPs on that page.
So you know you're going to get a few viewers.
I knew I was going to get a few viewers, but what happened if I needed to restart it? Not only would I lose a huge amount, and I needed to do it on a different page at a different link, not only would I lose a huge amount of my viewers, the video that was already embedded in Forbes would be a dud.
Right.
And I'd have to go through a whole bunch of extra work with Dory Clark and with Forbes to try and get them to edit out the old video and in a new one, which, you know, I'm just a guest blogger, just wrote an article for them. I didn't want to, like, cause any problems or anything. So it was a big fear.
But it did turn out okay.
It turned out fine. I find, for me, I'm a big giant stress ball about Hangouts.
Yeah, well, and they've been, and Hangouts are in beta. They're still in beta, right? I mean, they've been in beta forever. So they're always changing, they're always evolving. And I guess if you're going to use Hangouts, you just learn. At least back in the day when I began with them, you just learn to know that there's going to be glitches, and you just go with the flow.
Exactly. I find my Hangouts.
It's a free tool. You just have to learn the buttons to push, and you have to learn that there's going to be glitches from time to time, and And the audience that watches Hangouts, they're going to know that too.
And there's personal growth that you experience from those challenges.
Yeah.
It's like a yoga practice. Being a Hangout producer comes with its own special set of challenges that you have to learn to embrace. Because if you don't, then you'll just be a miserable Hangout producer. Like the frequent changes of the platform. But the same way that they don't send out emails of every change that they've made, and you certainly don't read every email that they send out about changes that they've made to the platform, the same way that Facebook doesn't tell us when they're going to make changes. You just discover it. You go, oh, how do I do this now? And usually they don't give us instructions on how to use the new change, whatever it is. They just make us figure it out.
Right.
And we do.
And then you go search on YouTube and you find out who's done videos on the new changes.
Exactly, exactly. So we really do have the opportunity. So I hope that quick discussion helps put you at ease a little bit. I think probably what puts you at the most ease is just the experience.
Exactly. Just getting out there and doing it. And clicking the button to join live.
Yep. It's an experience in life that you can't get anywhere else. The feeling of a Hangout on air that is well done after you're done. For me, I'm on like a broadcast high. I can't go to sleep for hours after I do a good Hangout that's got a really dynamic and interesting discussion. So I really strongly, I want to thank you, Vicki, for bringing up that subject and bringing up the point. It actually was my main point is, you know, the number one thing, you can't really get much of anything done. The story I was going to tell is about the women sometimes who want to get married so badly that they start planning their wedding before they even have a proposal. Right? So I've had lots of experiences with clients and with people who want to plan their Hangouts on air, and they want to know everything about it before they can even set the date. They want to know who the guests are going to be. They want to know what media channels we're going to get into. They want to know the complete strategy, and they won't do anything until they won't commit. They won't actually commit in the universe. And making that commitment is very small. It takes very little time. And it's not even a commitment. Like, you're not chained to anything about it. What it does is it opens up the door to the future to you. It means that your planning time, the date between the day that you scheduled it and the date that it's actually going to happen in the future, which is a movable date, now you can leverage that time and really, you know, you can reach out to the most dynamic celebrity and influential guests. You can really big media channels, all sorts of amazing things that happens. It doesn't matter what actions you take, you're kind of just spinning your wheels until you have a date set. And so I would strongly encourage you, don't bring a date. Don't just dreaming. And dreaming is not goals. Dreaming, you have to wake up to live your dreams, right? You have to wake up to realize your dreams. You cannot keep on dreaming. And so I think the best way to wake up is to dive in. Start by setting the date for a future Hangout. And this could be the big Hangout that you're setting the date for 3 months in advance, and you're going to try everything you can, but also schedule a few smaller Hangouts that you can do to practice ahead of time. So schedule one for a week and see, what can I plan? How can I make my Hangouts better? How can I make my Hangouts serve my audience and my business more effectively when I have a week with this embed code? What can I do with the embed code in a week? And then I like to think about, hey, what could I do with the embed code in a month? Mm-hmm. you have a lot of time in a month to talk to your friends and bloggers and people and get your Hangout embedded. But the beautiful thing, what I know from my professional history as a media buyer and planner, is that media channels and the influencers and celebrities that are featured within them, their editorial schedules are set, and they close to new editorial contributions months in advance. Yeah. And so if you want the opportunity to work with them, they're not gonna believe you if you have nothing to show them. If you don't have a history of Hangouts and you just say, I'm going to do this Hangout in the future, they're not going to believe you. But if you have the Hangout scheduled, they will believe you. It's a weird thing. It takes nothing. It takes you 30 seconds to schedule it. In Hangouts on Air, as I explained earlier to Vicki, you can just do it. Go under the Hangouts tab in Google+, start a Hangout on Air. It's not actually going to start right away. It's just going to let you schedule it. You can start it now or start it later. Pick later, schedule it, and then change the date if you need to. Change the guest, change the description, change the title, change the image. You could schedule a Hangout for one client with one intention, have them drop out, and have a completely different opportunity for that Hangout.
So everything can be changed after that. You have the same URL to promote, but anything can be changed. That's cool.
Anything can be changed. Now the thing is, anything can be changed within it, but what if you've already arranged with a media channel to have that Hangout embedded and simulcast with them? If they've already gone through the process of creating content and broadcasting it, then you don't have to do it at that time. You do have to do that content because it's kind of like a squeeze page or an opt-in page where you don't give people what you promised.
Right, you're committed at that point.
Exactly, you're committed. Now, the thing is, with the Forbes, and I have this in two different experiences, with the Forbes Hangout, we did have the RSVP on the page, and we said it will be September 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern in the text copy of the article. So I couldn't change the date. Once the article came out, that was it, because I would then, if I were to change the date of the Hangout recording, I would also have to change the text copy in the article, which I don't have access to.
You would be physically able to change the date, but it's the fact that you wouldn't want to because you've already promoted it.
Because no one would know. I would just be confusing the audience. I'd made a public commitment to one date, and I invited them to join and to, watch live on this specific time. Now, the contrasting experience that I set up as a good test for myself was in October. I wrote a series of blog posts, a pair of blog posts for fire pole marketing, and that Hangout on Air was recorded only 1 week after the Hangout, after the articles were published. So we had much, much less time for the article to just sort of mature and cure the audience itself. We had a much smaller audience for the Hangout, but for that Hangout, there was no text copy in the article that said exactly when the Hangout was. It was only when they click on the button on the play box of the video upcoming that they would see the countdown clock. So yeah, there is a lot of flexibility. You can do anything you want, but I encourage you to think about the repercussions. Think about how it impacts your audience and your vendors and your partners that have already committed to helping you with the show.
But for somebody new starting out or somebody restarting out, it's good to know. Just go in there and play with it. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, and just play with the times and because if you are going to schedule a celebrity Hangout on Air, you're going to want that practice beforehand. That's
my whole point. That's exactly it. I actually when I was first playing around with this idea of scheduling the Hangout early so that you get the embed code and then you can play around with the embed code by spreading it around the internet universe for the time that you have up until the live recording, I actually, what I was testing was the SEO magic that happens with a Hangout when you schedule it. So here's what shocked me into really understanding the importance of pre-planning and pre-scheduling, pre-committing to your Hangout on air so that you get that embed code. Was the first time that I actually noticed this happening was the morning of the final medal ceremonies of the Winter Olympics. So I think it was February 22nd, and it was the day that, it was the closing ceremonies. It was the day that Canada received their gold medal for winning in hockey. And I was watching the gold medal. I hadn't watched the game. I didn't get up early to watch the game and didn't see the gold medal game, so I watched the medal ceremony just to see who won. So I didn't know that Canada had won. But what I did while I was watching was I wanted to test, I wanted to see how quickly, when I schedule a Hangout on air in Google+, using the future scheduling tool, and I've got nothing there. I have no audience, no, people one-plussing it, all of that stuff. How quickly does it actually show up on Google search, and how relevant is it to Google search? And so what I did was, as I was watching the gold medal ceremony, I set up an imaginary future Hangout on air. And I did it publicly, and I just said in the description, this is just a test imaginary Hangout. I'm not actually doing the Hangout. But what I did was I said, I titled the Hangout on air, Live Hangout on Air with Canadian men's hockey team gold medal winners. And I had the, what is it, We Are Winter, I think it was hashtag We Are Winter, maybe was either the Canadian or just the Olympics sort of themed hashtag. I think it might have been the Canadian. Team Canada's hashtag was We Are Winter. Mm-hmm. And so I had that hashtag in it. And it shocked me because I went back to my Google search, and within 7 minutes, wow, that Hangout video was there. Now, this was back in February, and it was the first time I ever tested it. I've now seen Hangout show up at the top of Google search in less than a minute. I go straight from scheduling, I search it in Google, it's right there. It is so powerful. You could do keyword research for under-provided content against keywords and schedule Hangouts on air.
Is it still that way now?
It is still that way now. I was just testing it the other day, and it's still, like, I test it because it's such a humongous thing. So what I started doing was playing around with the idea of, like, what if I pitch my celebrity clients by setting up a Hangout on air for them with enough time in the future so that they don't feel like I'm trying to rush them into anything. And just say, here's what we could do. If you say no, I'll change everything about it and you won't be on the Hangout. There's no commitment to you. But if you do say yes, here it is. Here's what it could look like.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I can show them, if you're struggling with your SEO, while we spoke, I already scheduled this Hangout. Why don't you go search for the keywords of the title? And when they see it come up pretty high, it really starts to impact them how powerful a Hangout on air video can be for their Google search engine marketing results.
Yeah, people just don't understand how powerful the tools of Google Hangouts are.
I don't even think Google really does.
I'm really surprised that not more people are using them nowadays. I'm noticing a lot more now than were 10 months ago.
Yeah, it's definitely growing, but I think a lot of people have similar experiences to yourself and to myself, is that life happens. And, our focus changes, or we get a big account and we focus on that. And Yeah, I think a lot more people are starting to use them, but I think a lot of people feel the way that you do, which is a little bit overwhelmed by the changes and by the opportunity and by the technology. And I did for a long time too, because I only know a few things about Hangouts on Air. But I really just had to embrace that that's my nut. My special offering to the world is just a few things about Hangouts on Air. And for me, I'm really lucky because I get to learn from everybody else.
Yeah, and those that get in now and embrace it now, it can only get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It can only get better. So I want to thank you, Vicki, so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, everyone in the audience, for watching. I'm so excited that you're here. I do have a really special offer for anybody who is watching. And really for anyone who is in the audience of Hangout Help Desk. This is just a special offer only for you on Hangout Help Desk. I have a special offer available on my packages, but you're actually going to have to reach out to me to find out about it. So what I recommend, I don't want to try and sell you anything on this Hangout tonight. We will have some affiliate offers coming up in future episodes, and of course I'll be making you some specific offers about Celebrity Hangouts on Air. But what I have for you tonight, if you're interested in, if you've been looking at any of my programs and you want to jump in, a special thing just for Help Desk audience is I will create a special link for you if you let me know, and I will give you my program at 50% off. So you have to let me know which program you want and where you saw it. It takes a little bit more work right now, and I'll have the funnel set up for the next episode, and we'll go from there. So thanks everyone for joining, and we'll be back December 2nd. It's already scheduled, and if you're interested in simulcasting Hangout Help Desk for future episodes, if you're interested in participating, being a helpee, or taking the role of myself, being the expert who helps, please let me know, and I'd be thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on, Debbie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vicki. Have a good night, everybody.